Well, top level players are simply opening monsters. What do I mean by that? They prepare their openings in such depth that it's sometimes humanly not feasible to understand how they do it. They look at it with their engines, with their seconds, using their own mental aptitude. They are working hard throughout the night, and then they come up with these brilliant concepts, and they can remember and assimilate this information in such a way that a normal player or a player who plays chess who is not a grandmaster simply doesn't understand how can a person remember so many things. But when these very top players make an opening mistake as early as move 4, you start to wonder what's going wrong. Well, I shouldn't be too harsh on this game because it was Armageddon encounter. It was blitz between Ding Liren and MVL at the Magnus Invitational blitz. Uh, the first 4 games had ended in 2-2 score. So the battle moved into blitz, and Ding Liren had the white pieces, MVL had black, and draw was okay for him. So the game began with d4, and MVL, who is a Grunfeld player, he always plays this system with black, and he's well known in the world as one of the best players in the Grunfeld, decided that he should play something solid and went for the Slav. Maybe one of the first instances for him. Hardly ever plays this opening. And Ding Liren played knight c3. And I have a very easy way to remember things in this position. If white plays knight c3, black doesn't have the opportunity to develop his c8 bishop. The reason for that is, if he does develop his bishop, then after queen to b3, at some point this move or the next, you put pressure on b7 and also d5, because the knight is attacking d5, also the pawn is attacking, and so it's not so accurate to move your bishop. But if white plays e3, then there is not so much pressure on d5, so you can play bishop f5, and when he goes knight c3, you can play e6, fortifying this structure, and now queen b3 can be easily met with a move like queen b6, and black is doing fine. This is how I kept this in mind. So when Ding Liren played knight c3, it was very surprising to see MVL play the move bishop f5. Was it planned by him, or was he just unaware of theory? I would say the latter is very, very slim chances that a player like MVL wouldn't know this. CD5 was played by Ding Liren. And I would like to take you back in time historically, because analyzing this game we can learn something more about this position. And I would like to take you in the year 1916, 104 years ago, when Capablanca was facing Janowski. Capablanca was black, Janowski was white, and Janowski played the move queen to b3 in this position, attacking the d5 pawn. Now Kappa went queen b6, so you can see that even a great player like Capablanca had gone wrong. Janowski now took on b6. It's a fine move. Maybe CD is possible, but it's been, I think, established that after queen b3, a b3, knight d5, white doesn't have such a big edge in this position. So that's the reason why Ding Liren starts off with cd5, and we'll come to it. But going back to the game, Janowski Capablanca, he took AB, and now he took CD. Black took knight d5, cd5, and we reach this important position after the move e3, where Janowski said, look, pieces are equal on the board. You have 2 bishops, I also have 2 bishops. Your pawns are mangled while my pawns are pretty good, so it should give me an edge, right? knight c6, bishop d2, and here comes a move which has been said by many to be a brilliant one, and I would like you to take some time and think about what should black play in this position. Okay, if you came up with the move e6, don't worry, it's a normal natural move, but you did not think like Capablanca. The move that he played was simply phenomenal. Bishop to d7. Now, what is the point of actually making your bishop passive? You know, Capablanca wants to play e6 and kind of box in his bishop. But the idea is that after e6, the bishop is doing nothing much on this square. It is actually shooting into the vacuum. So when it goes to d7, as you will see, his plan is to play e6, knight a5, perhaps push the pawn to b5 and put his knight on c4, when the bishop would be doing good job on d7. The way this game continued showed how black strategy was really good. e6, castles, bd6, rook fc1, king e7, keeping the king in the center, bishop c3, rook fc8, a3, and now knight to a5, threatening to jump into b3. So knight d2 was played, and now came the move f5, preventing e4, g3, and b5. And now you see the value of this bishop here: f3, knight c4, bishop takes, pawn takes, and everything worked like clockwork in this game. After f4, b5, and in order to make b4 possible, you go rook a4, then you double the rooks. h6 is typical Capablanca move. He is playing on both the fronts, not playing b4 here immediately, first playing on the king side, and now when he is slightly opened up a front here, he then does go at the right moment b4. So brilliant game. I mean, you should study this game. Janowski, Capablanca, New York, 1916. Coming back, cd5 is the more accurate move, because as we just saw, queen b3, queen b6 is doing okay for black. So first you take, and now there are two moves. One is knight d5, which was played in the game. The other is cd5, and I have faced cd5 I think twice in my chess career, and queen b3 now comes with more power. The point being, now queen b6 is met with knight into d5. If queen into b3, you have a check, and then you pick up. So you are a pawn up, you pick up the queen. b6 is the most natural move here. But you see how b6 is actually weakening all the light squares in the position. And therefore, the best move here, and one which I have never made, although I've reached this position twice, and in both the games I went bg5. My aim was to actually take here and then take on d5. So all of my opponents replied with e6, which was a bad move. And I could go e4, a powerful strike in the position, de, bishop b5 check, knight d7, knight e5, and it's all over. There's a pin here, there is a pin here. It's time to resign the game. But better would be to go e4. Not that bishop g5 is not better, it's also winning, but e4 is just crushing, because after de, knight e5, you really cannot defend this pawn so easily. You have to go e6, when after bishop b5, knight d7, g4 is just crushing him. After h4, you see that this bishop, if you go h6, I can take and pick up this pawn. So also there would be other ways to win this position. So b6 is just bad, but then it's very difficult to defend this pawn, because moving the queen away from the d file means that d pawn hangs. Otherwise, if you play queen d7, then knight e5 comes with a tempo. It's all just wrong. So knight d5 was played in the game, and now came queen to b3. Now this move makes more sense. Queen b6 was played. If knight c3, then bc3, queen b6, then I like the move knight d2, and later I will play e4 and get the nice center in the position when white is clearly better. So queen b6, and now he took knight into d5. I remember when I played the state inter-school championship, it was state schools. I reached this position and my opponent took queen into b3. And I thought for a long time what's happening, and I gave a check. Then he played king d7. I took ab. He took king c7. I gave a check. And I was very excitedly waiting for my opponent's move because I was hoping he would blunder into king d8 when I can take on b8, rook b8, and just snuffle this pawn. I remember very clearly this feeling, but he did go king c8, and here I found the move knight d2, which is a nice one, preparing e4, and white is just better here. So instead of playing something so passive, MVL said, I'm going to give you a pawn. So Ding Liren says, thank you, picks up the pawn, e6 was played, and now queen went back to b3. Here knight to c6 and e3 was played. Now you can see that perhaps this is what MVL was hoping for in this position, that he had it prepared, that if white makes the natural move queen into b6, it all goes wrong for him. For the simple reason that after AB and now e3, knight b4 is a very powerful move. Let's say you go bishop b5 check, even king e7, and black is slightly better because knight c2 cannot be parried easily. So if you go castles, I go knight c2, rook b1, and well, maybe just knight into d4, and the b1 rook is hanging. But if in the same position after e3, if black goes take, take, and knight b4, then this doesn't work anymore because of check, king d8 or king e7, and now comes king e2 or even castles. The point being that now after knight c2, because this pawn is no longer on a2, you can move your rook up and white is just winning in this position. So MVL, I guess, played for these little tricks, perhaps, thinking that it's a blitz game. But of course, Ding Liren knew all of it. Knight b4, and now comes this nice little check. Queen a4 check. It seems like there's a lot of thing happening on the c2 square, but it's not important. King d8. What do you play now? This is an important point now of the game, because knight c2 is coming with full force in the position. Yeah, the right move in this position is bishop d2. Very, very powerful move. Very nice and strong move by Ding Liren. His point is that after knight c2 check, which happened in the game, I'm going to play king e2. And if you play knight into a1, I hope you notice that there is this bishop a5 pinning the queen. So knight c2, king e2, queen takes b2 was played by MVL. But now again, once again, white to move and just finish off the game. This is a powerful one. He went knight to e5. Queen d7 is a mate, and black has nothing to do. He played b5, but after queen a5 check, king e8, queen c7, there's a mate on d7 and f7, and so white resigned. It really puts a lot of things in perspective, that even in blitz, to play such a dubious line against Ding Liren is not a good idea. And I hope that you learned a lot, not just about Slav and this position, but also about the history of chess and this brilliant game of Janowski Capablanca, and this entire system. Don't play bishop f5 here. There are two main moves, e6 which leads to the Meran, and d into c4 which leads to the normal Slav positions. But bishop f5 is just wrong because of cd, and after cd you have queen b3, b6, e4, strong move. Or by the way, b6, e4, I was just wondering if here bishop e6 is any good, but maybe just bishop b5 check, knight d7, and perhaps d5 should do the trick now. Yeah, d5, and I think white is just winning. So well, don't go for tricky lines like these. Try to study your openings well, and thanks a lot for watching this video. I'll be back with more content soon. See you.